I want to bring in the agenda anchor, Desiree Chauke. Desiree worked with Bob in the 90s at what was then called Radio Metro. Desiree joins us now live to share her memories. Deepest condolences goes to you, as well as all the friends and family that Bob made such an impact on. Talk to us about, firstly, how did you learn about the news?
You know, Blaine, when you pass condolences, it's great to be with you on air. We haven't been in a while. You and I have had this conversation about working together and how after a while it starts to feel like family. And Bob's passing feels that way. It feels so personal. And it's only because I worked with him, and I imagine millions and millions of South Africans, up to 6 million. We used to have 6 million viewers then and listeners then on radio during the drive time show. Feel some sort of personal loss. How I found out, I was sitting at home. I'd come back from work because I was doing the show yesterday. And I don't know if you know him. He's a political commentator. He's also a columnist, Tebogo Gas. Kept sending me messages asking me, is it true that Bob has passed away? And I was like, I don't know. I'll find out from my colleagues. And I sent a message to our group asking if that was the case. And I sent messages to a few people and nobody knew. And this was all in about 10 minutes. And as soon as the confirmation started coming in, they flooded in, where just social media after social media post was confirming that he had passed away. And quite devastating.
Devastating indeed, and this is how we learn, these days about the passing of a loved one. It's hard to digest when you learn about it like that. But what was going through your mind? Take us back to the 90s. You were a newsreader at Radio Metro, across from Bob, doing the afternoon drive show. And we know that, when the newsreader and the anchor or the presenter, they need to have this rapport in order to, for it to convey to the listener that we are family. But that was real, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't just an act. That was real for you.
Blaine, it was beyond us, because it was a time in the country when there was such a sense of expectancy. It was in 1992. It was my beginning of my broadcast life. I had just started reading news on SABC, the first English news on the vernacular platforms. And I did a 9 o'clock bulletin, which meant I would come out of the SABC building around 10:30. There I am coming out, evening, rushing back home, and I meet this man, who was Khatebe, the man who made the Metro brand what it is. And he says to me, I've been waiting here for you. I have a drive time show. I have an amazing host, and I want just an amazing newsreader to go with him. And I think you're that person. Would you do this? And I'm thinking, I've just started. I don't know how to go about this. I'm like, I don't think they'll allow me. He says, don't worry about that. I'll speak to your bosses. I just need you to say yes. And I said yes. And Bob was excited about it. And that's how this duo started. Working with him was quite amazing. It was like going to school. Most of us go through life looking for our purpose. And I think Bob Mabena had found his purpose behind the radio mic, because he just threw himself into it, mind, heart, and soul. He was a process man. Even though he was the host, he would go through my bulletins with me to ensure that he knows what the current affairs are, so that we're able to engage on that beyond just the music. He was amazing.
Talk to us about that X factor that you are alluding to. I mean, this take us into his mind, his thought process, because Desiree, as you know, this industry, it's a tough industry, and to last for over 30 years, it's amazing. It can eat you up and spit you out just as easy, But you need to have a thick skin and a level head to survive. What was his X factor? What made him, the staying power in this industry?
It's such a lot of things, Blaine. He was obsessed with excellence.
Yeah.
So we didn't just get into the studio and do the show. He would arrive a good 2 hours before the show started, and we would go through. He was a words person, proper words, say the right things. He was very compassionate and felt he wanted to give South Africans the right message. Black people are coming around. It's 1992, 1993, just the year before the first elections.
Yeah.
And we want to depict Black people as able to deliver excellence, to deliver good quality broadcasting. He loved people.
Yeah.
He hardworking, loved music, loved process. We always had to, long before clock radio was spoken about, we were watching everything we said at every minute in the show. Even if we had to have a discussion, we couldn't just go on air and have a discussion. Everything had to be workshopped. Yeah. And I think that's what made him brilliant. But he was also versatile. Wanting to speak to musicians, wanting to speak to race rivals, wanting to speak to political leaders.
We forget he was a professional race car driver,
he wasn't a pure DJ. He wanted to be an all-round professional.
Yeah. And I remember he also always used to say, whatever doesn't change perishes. And it talks to how he adapted to the various genres and various stations that he went to. And something that you mentioned, I mean, you said he loved people, but people also loved him. And it was a difficult thing to do as well, because wherever he moved, his viewers, his audience moved with him as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you're right about the genres, because when I first met him, he had already been a DJ in Bukutatswana, but so it was my first experience, but he had been at this for a while. His biggest love was American music, R&B, house music, but he absolutely made sure that he used his platform to bring on board local music. He was the first person I knew who was so passionate about unearthing local talent. He would always play Kaifa Seminya's music and Letambulu's music, and they hadn't come back yet. So your Brenda Fassi's got to be our fascinations, your Messi Pagelas. And then he got onto the DJ scene where we would talk about DJ Christos, Oskido Wabana, and DJ Kanyani and their music. And just intoxicating times. Yeah,
I mean, he was on air, I think, when he was 19. I mean, and to stay in the industry and still to be relevant, even to this day. Yeah. I mean, you feel like he had so much more to give as well, isn't it?
Always, right up to the end. I wasn't so much in contact with him, at the last moments, but his impact on Power FM, you could still feel it. He was always about impactful broadcasting. For him, it was never just about a job. It had to go beyond that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, such great memories, and Desiree, no doubt you will hold on to those memories, and when you think about it, hopefully, those memories will bring a smile to your lips before it brings a tear to your eyes. We will chat later. I'll call you later. Thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say, Blaine, that I've been thinking about our colleagues who had passed on, who he's probably with now, your Evidence Camps, your Aldrin Sekhale Mokhodzi, he's probably meeting them in heaven. Yeah,
I mean, Kolani Gwala, legends. We've lost legends this year, so great loss indeed. Yeah. It's amazing.
The list is endless.
The industry is definitely poorer without them. Desiree Chauke, love you lots.
Very big loss.
Chat to you later.
Ciao, ciao.